our third battle this week, we have the Underworld versus Vernal Equinox, Leaf versus Ren. This is actually Ren's first FPL battle as well.
Yep, there have been a lot of firsts this week, which is a good sign of things to come in the season, at least I think.
Yeah, Ren is our other new player. We just recently expanded from 14 to 16 players. We're hoping to keep it at 16 for the foreseeable future. 16 is kind of the perfect number as far as actually like schedule making and stuff goes. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how Ren does as well. He's got a pretty scary team, I think, led by that CLOYSTER specifically. Is one of my absolute all-time favorites.
Yeah, I was surprised you didn't throw a bit more of a fit when that got picked.
I had another Shell Smash Sweeper in mind. I had Poltergeist in my radar.
Right. And we do see a snipe that someone did get mad about on Ren's team with that Darmanitan. I do know Jackson was looking at it. Absolutely brutal wall breaker. I mean, when you see that Choice Scarf Flare Blitz coming out on it, there's not a lot in the game that survives that.
Yeah, and actually, I'm looking at it right now, and a matchup that an item we could see on that Darmanitan is actually choice banned. Because in this battle, nothing on Leaf's team outspeeds that Darmanitan. I mean, maybe Mega Venusaur. Now that I think about it, I think it goes to 328 when it Mega Evolves. I could be wrong about that. But you don't normally run that thing's speed invested anyway, so it doesn't really...
And looking at the rest of his team, I highly doubt that is going to be speed invested, unless he was looking specifically at that Darmanitan matchup, so...
That is
You
true.
could definitely see a choice ban coming out,
Yeah.
and the only real way Leaf would have of punishing that is if we see a Flash Fire out of this Heatran. It could end up being a saving grace in this matchup.
Yeah, now Flash Fire is pretty standard on Heatran. You do see Flame Body sometimes, but Flash Fire is definitely very acceptable on Heatran. Maybe a Life Orb could potentially suit this Darmanitan better because, even if you're taking a bunch of recoil damage, at least you have an option to switch to an Earthquake or a Flare Blitz on a Bronzong or a Heatran. But yeah, another interesting matchup could be this CLOYSTER, because unless this Seismitoad is Water Absorb, which it most likely is, considering that Leaf doesn't have any Rain Setters on this team, outside of a Water Absorb Seismitoad, he doesn't have a ton that stands up to this CLOYSTER.
No, I mean, those Icicle Spears are going to be brutal on Venusaur, and, Bisharp doesn't really have bulk to deal with it, even if it is resisting, the stab Icicle Spears. So
now he does have options. Bisharp learns Sucker Punch, of course, and otherwise he's got some bulk for sure. I don't know if that CLOYSTER is going to be able to OHKO Bronzong, or
that is a question. Yeah,
or that Mega Venusaur once it evolves and gets Stick Fat. But either way, if Leaf lets him set up that Shell Smash, it could be a tough matchup for him.
Yep, and even without that setup, we are seeing, like you said, very scary team out of Ren overall. Hydreigon and Mega Latios, absolutely brutal offensive. Hydreigon just gets great coverage, and we're not really seeing any Fairy type coverage out of Leaf's team, so the Hydreigon could prove to be a lot more difficult to punish than most teams might find.
That is true. I don't actually think Leaf has any super effective stab into that Hydreigon. Maybe an Ice Shard from Piloswine. I think that's pretty much the only thing that he has for it. So we'll see if that ends up coming back to bite him this battle.
Yep, and you did mention, because I'm sure you do want to talk about it, the Sandaconda pick.
Yeah,
actually is looking pretty good into Leaf's team.
I love Sandaconda. As a 1-point pick, I think Sandaconda is a great value pick. A potential Sandstorm setter, actually. Now, I know Ren doesn't have any Sandstorm synergies on his team, so that's probably not going to be a set that we see unless he ends up trading for something. But at the same time, it is, like you said earlier, a really, really good matchup into this Underworld team. It hits super effective Earthquakes on Bisharp. It actually walls Bisharp pretty well. It's a great physical wall, but it hits 4 times super effective earthquakes on Heatran. You know, and we might see a potential like rest Shedskin set or something here, or at the very least, just a good offensive stealth rocker.
Yep.
But yeah, with that being said, let's get into the battle.
All right, so we're gonna see a Piloswine lead into Sandaconda, just what we were talking about.
And there's the stealth rocks
And the
immediately, but that
We
icicle
don't
crash.
exchange stealth rocks.
No,
surprisingly.
that icicle crash just cripples it instantly, and that's exactly what he needed in dealing with the Sandaconda. But that miss is brutal.
Well, not necessarily. Cloyster does have a huge amount of physical defense. I'm not sure how much that miss actually mattered.
That's true, but more than anything, it's just to break a sash. But he is running white herb, so it doesn't really matter. It's wouldn't have done much anyway. But yeah,
No Seismitoad switch.
Yeah,
Oof.
that's the power of Cloyster right there. You run it mixed with that Hydro Pump, and it's just so hard to deal with.
Yep. And I think we're gonna be seeing this Bronzong dead in 2 turns.
Now, the
I
Icicle
don't know
Spear is an
if it's
interesting play here, but considering the fact that this Bronzong looks to be maybe specially defensive with how much that Icicle Spear did, it may not have been the worst play in the world.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been my first choice, but honestly, it may have actually paid off for Ren in the end.
Yeah, now this is about what I expected with this Bronzong. Just Toxic and Protect, just try to stall out this Cloyster as much as you can. But these Icicle Spears are just deadly.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do not see a switch out of Leaf there. I would have liked to just reset that Protect to get the Toxic going a bit faster. Possible options to sack would have been the Piloswine, which comes out here. Or maybe even Seismitoad, since it doesn't do too great into the rest of Ren's team.
Yeah, but that's more the power with Cloyster right there, that Ice Shard just does nothing. It's
And actually, we maybe could have gone for Earthquake, as Ice Shard doesn't quite get through the Piloswine.
Yeah, now he switches out, which is really interesting. Normally you just leave Cloyster in until it dies. But if, yep, there it is. He just gets a second Cloyster. He just gets another Cloyster.
And I guess now I know why that Musharna was brought.
That's something we've never seen on Cloyster before. Now, high horsepower on on Piloswine is interesting. I think Earthquake may have been a little better, but it's only a 5 base power difference. It's not the...
Well, that 5 base power might have actually made the difference, as Cloyster survives on 7% after that last Icicle Shard.
That is true, but a Sucker Punch out of Bisharp, and I don't know what else Cloyster's going to do there. But either way, it definitely did what it needed to do. That was a great showing by one of my favorites. But now we can see why Bisharp's, that got that 8-point price tag, which is one of the highest value tiers in the entire draft.
Right, and if we see a Sucker Punch here, nope, another switch into Seismitoad.
Yeah, and
I
wow,
was looking for that recoil damage actually to try to finish off with Bisharp. Not a bad idea.
I think so, but also that Seismitoad tanked that Flare Blitz shockingly well. You normally don't see that, especially because it was only a single resist.
Yeah, I would question whether or not this is physically or specially bulky. I'm leaning more towards physical bulk now, especially with the Venusaur on his team.
Now a Venusaur hard switch into Megaladios is a bold move. But also this Bisharp, I mean, it's got such a good matchup.
See some shenanigans, goes for a knockoff instead. And now it's down 2-2, but Bisharp's pretty low, and it looks like Hydreigon should be able to clean this up.
Yeah, now that being said, the Sucker Punch takes out Darmanitan, so it is a 1-on-2, but like you said earlier, especially if this is a physically defensive Seismitoad, this Hydreigon could be exactly what the Vernal Equinox needs.
28% coming out. Actually, if we see an Ice Punch from this Seismitoad, this could lean into the Underworld's favor.
It very well could.
It's 45.
Oh, but it's just toxic.
So it is going to be over with this next Dark Pulse.
It must just not have been carrying an Ice-type move, which is rare on Seismitoad. But either way, yep, no coverage, and the Vernal Equinox was able to sneak out a close one.
What a battle. I mean, I really thought after that first shell smash that it was over, but Leaf's bulk proved a bit more of a match for that shell smasher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, to be honest, I was not expecting that team to stand up to CLOYSTER as well as it did. CLOYSTER is, I mean, it was what, top 5 in kills in season 2. It's,
I believe so. Yep.
consistently been one of the top offensive threats in the league. But he was able to deal with it really well, actually.
Yep, and actually managed the Darmanitan very well.
Yeah,
With that Seismitoad.
that Seismitoad stood up to that a lot better than I thought it was going to be honest. But yeah, no, his whole team really did its job, and at the end, he just didn't quite have the coverage.
Yep. Overall, great battle.
Yeah, very good battle.